Well, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here on the Let's Talk with Cutler broadcast. It's February 2nd, and I'm delighted that you all are here with me. I'm thankful. You all know I'm only here for 1,800 seconds. And this is another Tuesday. It just happens to be February 2nd, which is what? This is Black History Month. And so I might throw out a few tidbits every now and then throughout the month, but I'm thankful that you all are here with me in whatever space you are allowing me to share with you. For that, I'm thankful. For the past couple of times, I think we've had a few technical issues and glitches, and it seems like YouTube is not allowing you all to come into the chat room with me. So if it doesn't work this evening, I have another trick up my sleeve, and I'm going to make something work. But I'm thankful that you all are here sharing this space. So do me a favor, as you're coming into the room, as you're coming on, do me a favor, go ahead and do a thumbs up on the conversation. At least that lets me know that you're here, number one. But it also says to YouTube that you all are enjoying the content, and it encourages my heart. It just lets me know that I'm saying something that's right, something that's good, something that's edifying, and something that's helpful. And I am thankful for that. Again, it's Cutler. So if you haven't done so, make sure that you also subscribe. And once you subscribe, make sure that you click on the bell. The bell just lets you know whenever I'm live, whenever I've uploaded new content, whenever I'm broadcasting live, and whenever I've uploaded new content. And I suspect that this YouTube is going to act up tonight and not let you all in the chat room. But hey, do me a favor, stick with me, stick with this broadcast. Go ahead and share it with somebody. And we're just going to see what's going on, because I'm not sure what's happening here. I'd like to see y'all in the chat room with me, but it looks like, again, it's not letting you in the chat room. It's not you guys. It's not on my end, but it's something that that the YouTube platform apparently is not doing. And I have to look again and see what's happening here. But I tell you what, that's not going to stop us. We're going to have our 1,800 seconds of sharing, and I'm going to read these quotes. As you know, every Tuesday, I'll read the quotes from Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then every Thursday, I'll read the quotes for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The quotes for Saturday, it's up to you all to do your own thing with. You can start a conversation, let it be a conversation opener. Let it be a way of meditating, and just take it and share it. But again, thank you all for sharing this space. I've got to make sure that I make every second significant, every minute matter, and every moment has to be meaningful. So we're going to go ahead and get started. But again, as you're coming on, as you're coming in, just stick with me. And I apologize in advance for these technical glitches. I've got to see what's going on here, because I want to see my friends. I want to see my people. I need to see and hear you all. But let's go ahead and we'll get started with our quotes. And even though I can't see you, hopefully you'll come back on and you can just drop some quotes down there. You can drop some comments down there after the show and let me know what you thought about the comments and the things that we will have talked about tonight. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. And I can't shout out the LTTC VIPs for the evening because I can't see you in the chat room. I don't know what's going on with YouTube, but I'm not going to be outdone. And you know what? This is just one of those moments when we get a chance to see that glitches are not hindrances, and that hurdles can be jumped over and obstacles can be overcome. Again, we'll just take this moment because it will remind us that glitches don't stop us, hurdles can be jumped over, and obstacles can be overcome. So I hope that is a message for somebody who's going through something, for somebody who has some heartache, for someone who's dealing with something that seems insurmountable. It is enough that you can deal with it, and you can deal with it little by little, bit by bit, and piece by piece. Rome wasn't built in a day, and mountains were not constructed or conquered in a day. Little by little, you all, bit by bit. All right. So thank you all for sharing this space. Even though I can't see your names, I see that some of you are here and you're watching. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to keep this car moving along this highway. We're reading these billboards to better, and we're still picking up passengers along the way. And hopefully our car is going to become one of the most crowded cars on the highway. So much so that we are going to create a caravan of people who are reading billboards because we want to become better. As you all know, we're reading from this book right here, Billboards to Better, 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. Don't worry if you can't get in the room. I still see and know that you're here. All right, let's take off with our quotes. We're going to start with the one for January the 31st, January 31st quote, because it is a quote that really speaks to my heart. I was reviewing it just before the broadcast started. So let's see what we can do, what we can say, and what we can extrapolate and peel back when it comes to this quote. All right. It says, God deserves so much more than the leftovers of our lives. He's gracious enough to accept them, but he deserves so much more. When I wrote this, you all, I was thinking about people that I would like to hear from, people that I wouldn't mind taking the time to converse with. I thought about people who are sometimes too busy doing some of anything and everything to stop and take time for others. This is the quote for January 31st. And I thought of how disappointing and offensive it is when you want someone's attention, but they won't give you the time of day. I thought about how sometimes people don't come to us, or sometimes we don't go to them until they or we need something. And I thought about the phrase that says, taking people for granted. I thought about how we can sometimes in our lives, we can sometimes disregard, ignore, or even you all, we can even devalue people until we need something from them or they need something from us. You see, we'll disregard, we'll ignore, and we'll devalue people until we need something for them or they need something for us. I don't know if you all have ever been in that situation or predicament, but I certainly have. And I must admit and I must confess that I've been on the receiving and the giving end of having done that. And I thought about how people are sometimes kind enough, even when exploited, they are still kind enough to lend a helping hand. And I thought about how people in their humility will give of their hearts and of their time and of their talents to people who, in most instances, wouldn't even give them the time of day. And I thought about, as I wrote this, I thought about how gracious God is. We don't always prioritize him in our lives, and we don't always put him first. But when we need him, he's gracious and he's kind. And he gives us an audience and he continues to hear us. This is for when we're talking about being better, this is clearly a focus on spiritual development and spiritual growth. But he continues to hear us, even when we don't prioritize him, you all. And I've often heard people say, don't give somebody something that you wouldn't want for yourself. Oh, I wish you all could chat up with me in the chat room tonight, because I wonder how many of you have ever heard that. Don't give somebody something that you don't want for yourself. And I don't think any of us would want wasted time. I don't think any of us would want rebound attention. I don't think any of us would want to be an afterthought. So when it comes, you all, to our spiritual well-being, I invite, I encourage, and I motivate us to consider how we would feel if we were an afterthought. So as we're riding along this highway to better, and we'll become better in all facets of our lives, in all areas, in all aspects of our lives, from every angle, from every corner, and from every perspective, let us strive, you all, to give God the space in our homes, the space in our hearts, and the space in our lives that he wants and that he deserves. Because rather than rejecting us when we come to him out of those moments of desperation, those moments of what can I do? What am I going to do now? Those could be the moments when he said to us, he didn't come to me before, but rather than doing that, he never turns his back on us. He's gracious enough to accept us. And the leftover times in our lives, he accepts graciously. Yet he deserves so much more. You know, I think about how we give away things. We give away things that, they're good enough for us to want, good enough for us to keep. But after we've used them, after we've had our run with them, then we decide that we want to give them away. People deserve so much more. Maybe life has dealt somebody, a bad hand and a bad deal, but they deserve more. But in their kindness and their humility and their graciousness, they accept the leftovers that we give them. God is the same way. He deserves and wants so much more, but he accepts what we give him. As we're getting better, let's do better. All right. That's a quote. Maybe that was just personal for me, but it really speaks to my heart because it reminds me It reminds me, as I'm prioritizing the spaces in my life, the people in my life, and those who certainly deserve to have more of an audience with me or from me, I've got to do better. So that one just may have been personal for me. You know, as I think about these quotes, y'all, and I want to share this. I want to just interject this here, or insert this thought here. Reading these quotes, 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. I am not so disillusioned as to think that every quote is for everybody every day. My goal is to make sure that there's something in this book for everybody at some point. Some may pack a more powerful punch, some might not necessarily pack a punch at all, but this one packs a punch for me. And I think that's why when I was in one of my moments of needing inspiration, this was one of those moments when I heard and I needed to say, you've got to, Cutler, you've got to do better. So this one may just have been for a Cutler, but you know, again, I can't see y'all in the chats, and it's okay, but don't leave. But it's one of those that I wish I could say, you all, is this one just for me, or does anybody else? Does this one resonate with anybody else? God deserves so much more than the leftovers of our lives, but He's gracious enough to accept them. But He deserves so much more. All right, that was the quote for January 31st. Well, if the quote for January 31st doesn't resonate with you, maybe the one for February 1st will. All right, February 1st says this: always be ready to receive what God is ready to send. Oh, always be ready to receive what God is ready to send. And I have to give you all a backstory, behind the scenes kind of story for this one. I don't know if any of you have heard of this movie, but one of my all-time favorite movies, one of my all-time and my mother's all-time favorite movies, is Imitations of Life. There is a quote in the movie. You are, yes, it's, I know, Mom, you may not be able to get in the chat room, but I know that's one of your favorite movies because it's one of mine as well. But there's a quote in the movie when the maid, Annie Johnson, said to the homeowner, Miss Laura, she said, you know, there's nothing wrong with wanting nice things. It's just a way of showing your trust in the Lord. It's like telling Him you're ready whenever He is. I love that quote. There's nothing wrong with wanting nice things. It's just your way of showing you trust in the Lord. It's kind of like telling Him you're ready whenever He is. I love that quote. I've always loved that quote because it spoke to me, and it said, always be ready and always be open to whatever God has to give. Always trust in the Lord when you don't have, so that you can give thanks when you do have. I truly believe, you all, with my whole heart. I believe in being open and ready to whatever God wants to do and however He wants to do it. One of my favorite stories in the Bible, maybe this is just Bible study 101. One of my favorite, and you all know this is really not Bible study, but one of my favorite stories in the Bible, and I want to put, I'll probably put my spin on it as I tell the story. But one of my favorite stories was when God was getting ready to deliver His people out of bondage. And He told them, here comes my spin. He told them what to eat and how to eat. He told them, listen, this is what you eat the night before, because you're going to be delivered tomorrow. And He said, you don't have time for the yeast to rise, for these yeast rolls to rise. So don't put any leaven in your bread, because you don't have time for that. They didn't have time to wait for the yeast rolls like we would, right? But time, He said, is of the essence. Then He told them, eat everything you cook tonight, because you don't need any leftovers in the morning. Listen, if you have leftovers in the morning, you just need to burn them. And He told them, you all, this is funny to me, but it is true. He said, eat with your clothes on, or it says, you know, your loins girded. Eat with your shoes on, and eat with the staff in your hand. In other words, He was just telling them, be ready for deliverance. Be ready for how I move. Be ready for the fact that I'm getting ready to move. And I want to encourage and motivate us, you all, to be ready for our blessings. Your blessings are coming. Be ready for your miracles. Your miracles, they are on the way. I don't care how dark it's been, but your blessings are coming. Your miracles on the way. Let's be ready, you all, for our peace. Let's be ready for our hope. Some of us have been in places and in stages of our life where it has been so dark that we can't see the light of day. I've been there. Some of us have been in emotional spaces, and some of us are in those emotional spaces even now, you all, and they've been so heavy until the only thing that we can feel is the light, is the weight on our shoulders. Some of us have been caught in those downward spirals and these chaotic conditions until we don't believe that peace is possible. But I want to encourage us all to be ready for better. Better is coming. I want us to be prepared for miracles, to have hope that God is on the way, and to believe that this is not as good as it gets. Our current situation and circumstances is not as good as it gets because some of us are in dark spaces. Some of us in heavy spaces. I believe, I believe, and I know that some of you all are the same way. I believe in the power of positive affirmation, and not just positive affirmation, but affirmation through God's word. You see, I believe you all. I can't help but believing that when your life is transformed and your mind is renewed and your faith is ignited, I believe that you can have what you say. I don't know about you, but I see peace as my portion. And I believe that miracles are mine. And I say to you all, those of you who are joining, you who are watching now and who will watch the replay, guess what, you all? I am just really, I'm really, I'm daring enough and audacious enough to say the favor is not only in my future, but it's in my present. And I remind myself daily, I'm telling you all, I remind myself daily to be ready for what God allows. Always ready to receive what God sends. And just as a follow-up to the conversation for this particular quote, some of us will never be ready to receive the new. Hear me clearly. Some of us will never be, and I really wish you all could be in that chat with me now in this 1800 seconds, but some of us will never be ready to receive the new until we've gotten rid of some of the old. It's just like how we go into our closets and our cupboards and our pantries, you all. And for some of us, there is no more room on the shelves. And you can't get another pair of shoes, another coat, another suit, another grocery item, another anything in that space. When? Until you get rid of some of the old. And as we are on this highway to better, reading these billboards, and we're still in the midst of this pandemic, let's examine some of the old stuff that is within us and some of the old stuff that's in our lives. And that which does us no good, I'm telling you, this is a challenge. That which does us no good, let's empty it. Let's empty it out of our hearts and out of our homes and out of our lives. Let's get rid of those things. Why? Because like Miss Annie Johnson said, in Imitation of Life, it's just our way of telling the Lord that we trust him and that we're ready for whatever blessings he's sending our way. I'll read the anecdote that I wrote at the bottom of that quote. It's in the book. It says, it's more than rhetoric to suggest that sometimes we must hearken unto the voice of God or the leading of the Spirit so that we can be prepared to receive the blessings that he sends. It's more than, excuse me, y'all, it's more than rhetoric. It's more just than empty words and saying stuff that because you don't have anything else to say. It's more than that. When God was preparing those children, the children of Israel, for their deliverance from Egyptian bondage, he gave specific instructions concerning the Passover. It was in Exodus, the 12th chapter, if y'all want to read it. If you want to go and have Bible study, it's in Exodus, the 12th chapter. Maybe verses 1 through 11 or verses 1 through 15 or something. But God was basically telling them, eat, be dressed, and be prepared for deliverance. And if I had to encourage you from a place of spirituality tonight, I would say eat, which means to consume things that strengthen you, consume things that nurture you, consume things that make you strong and make you whole and make you fit. And not only would I say eat, but I would say be dressed. That means to ready your exterior and be prepared. That means to do the work and to lay the foundation of the things that God is going to send your way. So be dressed so that you can journey wherever you have to go. Be dressed so that you can journey through the mountains and the hills and the forests and the valleys and the streets and the streams. Do the work. That means you do the legwork. So eat means to take in. But dress means to be prepared without, and then be prepared for deliverance. When you got your inside and your outside prepared and you're ready for the journey, you're ready for whatever God has to do, whatever he wants to do, whatever he wants to say, and however he chooses to do it. All right? Always be ready. Always be. And you all know sometimes we want things, but we don't use the energy that we have to put ourselves in the position to get them. During this pandemic, what have we done, you all? What have we done with our time? I pray to God that we haven't wasted all of our time. I pray that we have used some of our time wisely. I pray that we've used some of our time to renew ourselves. But I also pray that we've used some of our time to strengthen ourselves. You all, some of y'all who know me personally know that a part of my journey during this whole pandemic, one of the things that happened during this pandemic was what? This book. Another thing that happened, I took classes, theology classes at Harvard. Open this program so that we can meet and share this space every Tuesday and Thursday. I pray to God that not all of us have wasted our time, but always be ready. And guess what? We all have wasted time. I will be telling a bold-faced lie if I suggested to you that I've never wasted any time. I have. And I continue to do that. I still waste time. But what am I doing? What am I saying? Don't waste all your time. Set some of your time aside to be better and to be ready. All right. I just wanted to share that from really that's just complete transparency. Yes, I've wasted time and I still waste time. But I've determined and purposed in my heart that I've got to do better. I've got to be a better steward of the time that God gives me. Because there's this scripture that says, so let us count our days. So let us number our days. And it's not just about counting the days that we exist, but it's about appreciating the days that we live. It's not just about counting the days that we exist, but it's about appreciating the days that we live. So let us number our days. Really, there's another translation that says, so let us use our time wisely. And I've decided, I've determined, I've purposed in my heart, as I watch so many of us who are dealing with death of family and friends and loved ones, just heard about 3 more this week. And I decided I've got to do better with the time that I have. All right? And with the time that I have, I need to make it significant, because with you all, I only have 1,800 seconds. But you all, let's always be ready to receive whatever God is ready to send. Ready to receive what he's ready to send. We're going to move on to February the 2nd. That's our quote for February 2nd. And we're going to chat about that one. I am so sorry that I can't see you all. I want to see all my friends. I want to see y'all in this chat. I want to see y'all in this chat. And I tell you all this, I'm going to find out what's going on, because I see that you all are sticking with me, and I appreciate it. I even see the thumbs up. I see that y'all are in the view space. But that's okay. I know that you're with me in spirit, and you're here. You're with me physically and in number. I just can't hear you, but that's all right. You all can hear me. So thank you all so much for hanging in there. Thank you for sharing this channel, and for those of you who have already subscribed and you're clicking the bell and you're doing all that stuff. Thank you. I'm going to go to our quote for February the 2nd. All right. And it says this. It says, you don't need the Red Sea to have a Red Sea experience. God will show up, and he will make the enemy think twice about pursuing you. That is interesting to me. This must be, you all, this must be the evening of Sunday school or just famous Bible lessons, because these 3 are packed full of biblical references, right? But as most of you know, talking about you don't need a Red Sea to have a Red Sea experience, God will show up and make the enemy think twice about pursuing you. Most of you, some of you know that I'm a proponent of celebrating life. I'm a proponent of enjoying life. I'm a proponent of capturing, highlighting, and giving thanks for all victories, whether great or small. I'm a proponent and a fan of throwing your own party and celebrating all by yourself if you have to. So when I wrote this quote about you don't need the Red Sea to have a Red Sea experience, when I wrote this quote, I thought about all the miracles that we experience and all of the blessings that we encounter. We don't always stop and take the time, you all, to document them or to even tell others or testify about them. But every time a plane takes off and lands safely, that's a miracle. Every time we get on the highway without getting involved in an accident, that's a miracle. Every time I wake up to the dawning of a new day, you all, that is a miracle. And as foolish as it may sound, every time I read the obituary section and realize that my name is not in it, that's a miracle. Every time I stand up and dress myself without assistance, that is a miracle. Every time I sit at my dining room table or my kitchen table and find food in front of me, that's a miracle. Now, how many people are homeless and how many people are hungry? How many people need assistance just getting dressed and standing up and bathing? It's a miracle. And even if I needed assistance, the miracle is that I've got assistance getting it done. Even if I were hungry and had to stand in a soup line, the miracle is that there's a line for me to stand. Let me just remind us about the miracle at the Red Sea and why this quote still speaks to me. You understand, the miracle was not just in the fact that God parted the sea and opened the way in front of them, but the other part of the miracle was that he closed some things behind me. Some things I didn't need to go back to, some things that no longer meant me any good. So I don't need an actual Red Sea to be reminded that God has opened some doors. He's opened some networks. He's opened some opportunities that I didn't even deserve and that I couldn't earn. And I am not so disillusioned as to think that I've led a perfect life. So I'm thankful to God that there were some doors that he closed. Some people, some circumstances, some situations, some hurdles, some obstacles, and some things that meant me no good. I'm thankful, not only for the ways and the doors that he's opened, but for the ones that he's closed behind me. And when I recall those experiences in my personal life, I celebrate those moments, you all, and I testify about them. Because this is what it said, because God will show up and make the enemy think twice about pursuing me. So when I celebrate those moments, you all, when I testify about them, it puts the enemies of my mind on notice that depression and discouragement and discontentment and negativity and confusion and frustration no longer can live in my mind or my heart. Because I've been through enough Red Seas until I don't worry about the lakes, ponds, and streams. I'm telling you, when you go through enough seas and oceans, the lakes, ponds, and streams seems like child's play. And before I forget those Red Sea experiences, before I forget any of them, I'll remember and celebrate every one that he's brought me over and through. I told y'all this 1800 seconds, I've got to make it matter. So the rest of the quote says this: never forget your personal Red Sea experiences. Don't ever let life get you so far down that you forget how God brought you out and up, how he healed you, how he made a way, how he saved, delivered you, how he opened doors, blessed your family. Don't forget. And when you remember, celebrate. And just before you forget, remember and celebrate again. All right? Remember and celebrate again. I'm telling y'all, so this has been 1800 seconds here on the Let's Talk to Cutler platform, the Let's Talk to Cutler show. I'm so thankful that even though we've had some technical glitches, that you all are still with me, that you're sticking with me, and we're sharing this space and time. So whether it's in your living room, your dining room, your kitchen, your front porch, back porch, car, whatever space you've allowed me to share, for that, I'm humbled and I'm thankful. I want to end this evening's broadcast by sharing a poem from my third book, Who We Once Were. Who We Once Were. I want to share this poem, and the title is Determined to Live, because what you've probably heard from me tonight is determination and celebration. Determination and celebration. So from this book, Who We Once Were, I want to read this, Determined to Live. And it says, maneuvering through a maze, All in a daze, my soul is ablaze, but no one sees that I'm trying to live. Listen, can you hear me? Panting breathlessly, helplessly, hopelessly, because I really want to live. Running through a crowd, blindly into a cloud, crying so loud, but no one hears that I am trying to live. Please, would you help me? Running hurriedly, fearfully, frantically, because I truly want to live. Contemplating my past, thoughts running so fast until at last I pray for salvation. Pause in expectation. Ponder with acceleration. Proceed with determination because I love life and I am determined to live. Thank you all for spending this 1800 seconds with me here on the Let's Talk with Cutler broadcast and platform. Again, I'm going to work to get through these technical glitches. So I hope that when we share this space Thursday, and we will, that you all can come back and join me in the chat room. But until then, let's keep on building community. Let's stay safe. Let's keep on maintaining connectivity. Stay safe, stay sane. Keep your heads up. Keep your hopes up. And until Thursday at 8 o'clock, please know that from my heart to yours, there is much love.